Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Fight With Me. Guys, I just have to start off the show by letting you know I got my very first solo victory royale on Fortnite, and that's the only thing that I will say about that. Just so you guys know, I'm freaking epic. Right before the show, got it. Like 4 minutes before the show started, my first ever solo victory royale. But that's not important, because what's important is the fights this weekend, and that's UFC 245. And I gotta be quite honest with you guys, I'm fucking excited. This is probably one of the best ways to end the year of 2019. Man, great fights, great main card. In fact, great prelims. The whole fucking card put together is phenomenal, and I have nothing to complain about. I really wish that this was the card that they used to end the year, but there is, I believe, one card after this. Is it one or two cards? I can't remember. There are fights after this to close the year off, which kind of sucks because this is an excellent freaking card. So let's just get right into it. This weekend, for those of you guys who don't know, the UFC pay-per-view, UFC 245, the final pay-per-view for 2019, it's all set to be one of the biggest shows of the year, as the UFC will feature 3 title fights, guys, as well as a handful of UFC legends who we have seen multiple times up and down on the undercard and on the main card. The last time we saw 3 title fights on the UFC card was back at UFC 217. I covered that one on my other channel. That was back when the MMA-Holes wasn't complete yet on UFC 217. I actually remember that all too well. I wish I forgot. But other than that, this card in particular does promise to be, I would say, earth-shattering. Because I gotta say, if there's one way to end 2019, it's just like this. So let's see who's in the chat, and I'm gonna get right into the card immediately. Josie says that reindeer is jamming. That's, yeah, little Rudolph, baby Rudolph is jamming over there. You see? For those of you guys who haven't noticed yet, baby Rudolph is jamming, having a good old time. All right, guys. You know what? I'm not even gonna get into the chat. Let's just get right into let's get right into the card, shall we? I think, you know, you guys can agree that this is not something that we should put off. So let's start with who is on the main card for UFC 245. First, to kick off the main card, Uriah Faber versus Petr Yan. I love this fight. Yan is undefeated in the UFC. He's 5-0. He's destroyed top contenders like Jimmy Rivera and John Dodson. Faber also remains a great fighter at 40 years old. He was on a long layoff. His grappling is phenomenal. I think this is going to be an excellent fight. The next fight, Marlon Moraes versus Josie. Aldo heading down to 135 pounds, a huge weight cut for Aldo. But we'll see how that turns out. I did see an interview, or part of an interview, that Moss was showing me with Aldo, and I think Moss is pretty convinced that Aldo's looking all right, but I'm not. I'm not convinced. I don't care how healthy you think he looks. I'm not convinced. Amanda Nunes versus Germaine de Randamie is the first title fight of the main card, and I love this fight for many reasons that I will get into. The co-main event, Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. We get to see Max Holloway come back in and show his shine, I guess you could say. The main event, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Whew, man, drop the fire emojis in the chat right now. I want to see all the fire emojis in the chat. This main card is fucking fire. And I usually don't do this, but have you seen the prelims? We've got Jeff Neal versus Mike Perry. Irene Aldana is coming back for another fight. Ian Heinisch, a fucking animal inside the cage, is fighting Omari Akhmedov, which is going to be, I swear to God, if this ends up being a boring fight, I would be extremely shocked. I think this is going to be a huge strike fest. It's going to be so fun to watch. Matt Brown versus Ben Saunders. And then take a look over here at your early prelims. Chase Hooper versus Daniel Tamer. Now, they didn't even give Hooper a picture yet. That doesn't anything about this fight. But Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara-France is going to be an excellent fight. We've seen them both fight multiple times in the past. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting. And we got Jessica Ai coming back against Vivian Araujo. We last saw Jessica Ai. Who did she fight last? Jessica Ai. We just saw her take the loss to, was it Jay? Who was it, Jay? I don't know. Punahele we saw at the Contender Series. His picture's not there. But we saw Punahele at the Contender Series, and this guy he's got severe power behind his fist versus Oscar Piechota. So the whole fucking card, like, I can't tell you guys, if I was more excited for a pay-per-view card, it would absolutely be this one. Who could argue that this could be the best pay-per-view of the year? You never know. All right, guys, let's get right into it then. The first fight of the night, Petr Yan versus Uriah Faber. Now, I already said this before. I like this fight a lot, mostly because we got to see Uriah Faber come back. He fought Ricky Simón. He took the win there at 40 years old. I know a lot of people have quite a bit of doubt when it comes to Uriah Faber. Like I said, Yan is undefeated. He's 5-0. And he has destroyed some top contenders. Oh, shit. Sorry, guys. I just highlighted Yan there for a minute. He has destroyed, top contenders. Jimmy Rivera, John Dodson. And his striking combinations are absolutely terrifying for Petr Yan. I did mention Faber's grappling game. He's a great fighter, as always. His grappling game is great. He has a range of chokes that he likes to use in his fights. They're extremely dangerous. He's a solid striker. His overhand right being his best weapon. So I think we're gonna see a very exciting fight here. Yan is currently on an 8-fight winning streak. His MMA record is 13-1-0, and his last fight was in June, as I mentioned, against Jimmy Rivera, but of June of this year. So we did last see him fight in the summer. Now, arguably no other fighter at 135 pounds chains combinations together quite as well as Petr Yan does. Against Rivera, he was struggling at times, but then he ended up kind of turning up, and he put a lot of heat on Rivera in that fight and sort of forced him to wilt under his volume, which I thought was a huge advantage for Yan. And it showed the strengths that Petr Yan really carries. And the same thing happened with Dodson when he fought Dodson. When you consider that Faber was kind of made to look slow by Rivera 3 years ago when he fought him, and he's kind of been on the shelf ever since. The guy was out for a long time, aside from the Ricky Simón fight that he just had. It just becomes a little bit hard to see how he can defeat Petr Yan in this particular fight. The UFC has always kind of used its veterans to make names for prospects, and Petr Yan is definitely a huge prospect right now. And I think that while Faber still dreams of his last fight being the title against Henry Cejudo, I think he's bitten off a little more than he can chew against Petr Yan here, and I think he's going to find that out on Saturday night. Faber's on a 2-fight winning streak, which is great for him, but like I mentioned, he just came back from his long layoff against Ricky Simón back in July. I feel when he's going against like a huge slugfest like Petr Yan, he doesn't really know what he's getting himself into. And like I mentioned, he's 40 years old. He's not a kid anymore. The California kid is not a kid anymore. So I think while he did have Simón out of the octagon in just 46 seconds of that fight, he still looked worrying by taking the amount of shots that he did before landing that huge bomb on him. And Petr Yan is not the kind of guy that you want to just take a couple shots from. One shot and Yan can put you out. And I don't think Faber really recognizes this quite yet. Now, one of the sources that I used on the research of this fight couldn't have questioned it in a better way. They said, is there a chance that Faber could surprise Yan by catching him with that overhand right and following it up with a choke and kind of choking him out with his guillotine that he uses? And honestly, I guess so. Every fighter has a shot, and Faber is extremely talented and one of the best ever at 135. I don't want to shit on the guy at all, but I really feel that, I worry about him against someone with as much speed and as much power as Petr Yan. So I think bottom line for this fight, can Yan finish Faber? I'm not entirely sure, but I would lean more towards yes. If he could, then the next title shot is almost certainly Petr Yan's. In fact, I think he should have gotten it a fight ago. But 100%, it would almost certainly be Petr Yan's. And then Faber always has been incredibly tough, so we can't really nix that out of the equation. And his ability to take punishments is something that is seemingly never worn by Faber. He has had the ability to take a lot of strikes before. I just don't think he can take strikes from Jan. And honestly, I'd like to say that this is going to go the distance. I don't think so. I think this is something that's probably going to end. And I think it's going to end by Jan's hands. So I'm going to go with Petr Yan by finish for this fight. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. I'm very, very interested. All right. Nick C says Jan by TKO. Eddie E. Clark says real fight is Colby versus Masvidal. Well, we don't know yet. We got to get through Colby versus Usman yet. Don't jump that far ahead, my man. Cole Vick says Faber with the experience factor. Last win against A2. Scott McLeese says think this will be over quick. I would venture to say that you're close to right. I think it's going to go a little bit.
You're going to go to sleep. And then you need to back up or you can go to sleep too.
Skitscat.
Evening, Jesse. Congrats on the enormity of all you and Moss's recent achievements. And thank you for briefing us on Saturday's fights. However, Uriah Faber is so old that the cheeks on his butt chin are starting to sag.
Oh, stop.
Anywho, by divided by.
By Skitscat. Thank you for the compliment. We are here for you, Skitscat. Appreciate it. And I think Faber's going to take the L there for sure. Now, it's hard for me to just kind of speed through these fights because they're all great fights and I just want to keep talking about them. Jesse, it's probably going to end Hill. Listen, if a fight is probably going to end, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I can't predict the future, but I can certainly tell you what I think is going to happen. And guaranteed, this fight will most likely end before a decision is made.
Merry Christmas.
Roberto Hernandez.
My name is Troll, and I'm a special hole. I'm shirtless and alone again. Internet is my only friend.
Sing
It's
along.
Christmas, hooray. I sit and watch MMA. No girlfriend this year,
But I have my hand.
Sit in front of computer, making fun of people. No avatar to hide my gremlin face. Oh yes, it's Christmas, I am so hideous. Maybe Santa will bring me a pocket pussy.
Yes, Roberto.
Hi JBH,
Hi.
I wanted to send you and Chris a wine bottle for Christmas
Aw.
or New Year's. I think I'm donating money better. That way you guys can get whatever you want better.
Aw, you're the best, Roberto. I will let Mystic Moss know. And I do have my wine with me right now. Thank you, Roberto. I truly appreciate your generosity. Thank you to all of you guys who donate and are extremely generous during this time of the year. Our gratuity cannot be expressed. Do you like the big words I'm using? All right. Let's move on to the next fight. Marlon Moraes versus Josie Aldo. Now, this fight is extremely intriguing to me. If it wasn't intriguing before, it's even more intriguing given the fact that Josie Aldo has moved down to 135 pounds and the guy looks like he's a walking skeleton. It's crazy. Now, for years, MMA fans, UFC fans, we were all sort of led to believe that Aldo's future laid at 155 pounds. He even raised the question as a potential title challenger at times and stated on numerous occasions that he found the weight cut to 145 to be tricky at times. Now, I think the fact that he was saying that about 145 is why it's so difficult for me to wrap my head around the fact that his first weight move is actually going to be down to 135 to clash with Marlon Moraes. It is mind-boggling. Now, and it's not that I don't think he can do it. He looks like he's doing well, like he's got it planned out. And for all I know, he's gonna completely throw me for a loop and come out better than ever, like a Khabib Nurmagomedov out there. The guy cuts 2 weight divisions and comes out stronger than ever. Maybe Josie Aldo's that kind of fighter, but it's shocking to me because, as I mentioned, at 145 pounds, he was complaining about how difficult that was, and now he just cuts to 135 like it's nothing. It's crazy to me. So that's why it leads me to believe that at 135 pounds, it might not be as easy for him in this fight as he thinks it is. Moraes is coming off of a loss. He's 6-1 and I'm sorry, not 6-1, 22-6-1 in his No way! Roberto! Yeah, boy! Fuck, come dance with me! UFC dance party!
There, I think you can buy some decent wine. Happy holidays, MMA-Holes.
Oh my goodness! Roberto Hernandez with the hundo! Holy shit! Merry Christmas to you, Roberto. Oh my god! Oh, I think I just had a heart attack. You stopped the whole show there. Whew! That's right, everyone. Round of applause for Roberto in the chat. Jesus Christ, man. Thank you. Mwah! You're the best. You are absolutely the best. All right, how do I recover from this? Yeah, that's right, Drunk. I'm going to buy an extra big jug of wine with that 100. Man. All right, Roberto, we will certainly get a wine, and we'll even take a picture for you, and we'll show you which one we got. In the name of Roberto Hernandez. All right. Whew. Let's move on. Moraes versus Aldo. Now, not many other fighters, if any at all, could have made the comeback that Cejudo made in the fight with Moraes. But Moraes still did excellent in his fight with Cejudo. And I kind of have to take off of that fight in order to predict how well he's going to do in this fight. Now, most opponents would have been broken apart by Moraes' legs, his leg kicks, and things like that. And it would have been Moraes with his hand raised at the end of the fight. At his best, Moraes has insane timing. He's got insane power in his strikes, particularly in his low kicks, and a ridiculously killer instinct. So all of those things combined, Moraes theoretically should have won the fight against Henry Cejudo. He's also an underrated grappler, as we saw when he submitted a Sunsao back in February. Essentially, I think it's easy to argue that Moraes is a younger version of Aldo, or the fighter that Aldo was in his prime. And he's taken nothing like the damage nor the wear and tear that Aldo has over the past decade. And throw in the fact that Aldo may struggle at 135 pounds, as I had previously mentioned, drawing himself out physically in the process. And it sounds like a horrible idea for Aldo at this point. Now, Aldo is coming off of a loss against Alexander Volkanovski, who is the co-main event on this card. And that was a unanimous decision loss back in May. But Aldo's record is 28-5-0. Now, I don't know how many of you guys have seen photos emerge already of Jose Aldo's weight cut to 135 pounds, but he's looking drawn out. He's looking weak. And to me, this is an incredibly massive alarm bell. I cannot get over that image in my head of what Aldo looks like at 135 pounds. Aldo isn't old. He's 33. But he has kind of been around at the very top for years now. He's faced nothing but killers over the last decade. So I can't underestimate the guy as a fighter, but at 135 pounds, it's difficult to be on that side with him. Now, he's taken tons of damage along the way in clashes with Frankie Edgar, Conor McGregor, Chad Mendes, Max Holloway. And earlier this year, we saw that he kind of wilted entirely when he faced Alexander Volkanovski. Now, I don't think any of this really bodes well for a fight with Moraes. Moraes is still extremely in his prime. He's lost out in his quest to become bantamweight champion. And I think that is something that's going to fuel Moraes when he fights Aldo. Now, listen, bottom line, I think that this fight goes extremely badly for Aldo. I could be wrong. We've seen it before where fighters cut so much weight that it actually makes them stronger in their fight when they go and they rehydrate and they get those nutrients back. And it's not impossible for Aldo to do that. Khabib does it. But I don't think this fight's going to go well for him. I know he seems confident. I know he seems healthy in his interviews, but I think it's going to go bad. And I think that we may well be about to see the end of his storied career. I think Moraes uses his own game against him. He's going to pull Aldo into his wheelhouse. He's going to chew his legs up. He's going to use low kicks before taking him out with strikes. And that saying that they always say in MMA, the snake eats its own tail. In MMA, I feel that this would be another prime example of that theory. So I'm going to go Moraes by KO, TKO. I know some people are going to go Aldo, but let me know who you guys have in the chat. Moraes or Aldo. Box Coger says Aldo only had muscle to cut. Eric Melton says, I agree. Mark Jackson, Tom Hanks looked better in Philadelphia. That's horrible.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Dave Zilla says, JBH, Dave Zilla. Eric Melton says he had a good run. Anything 4-6 says Aldo needs milk. Joanna J looked bad from the weight cut, but she destroyed Karate Hottie. Drunk Savage says Marlon, Shannon Stewart, when or where the fuck is or has Flat Earth been? Tuna Bo says definitely Marlon. Nixie Marlon. Charlie Sheen says Pulse Resurrected. Bo Warcher says I got Marlon winning by decision. Shannon Stewart says Marlon, did you get my email? Oh, I'm sorry, Marlon and H. Did you get my email yet? I sent you a message on Discord. No, unless Moss got something from you. I did not receive anything. Are you sending private messages? And H. Are you sending private messages to Mystic Moss? Are you sneaking into his DMs? Shame on you, NH.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, now he just responded. Moss just responded. Moss is cheating on me with NH. All right, guys. Let's move on to the next fight. Amanda Nunes versus Germaine Randamie. I like this fight a lot. A lot of people are sleeping on Randamie, and I love it. I love every moment of it. And even I at some point was like, I think Randamie is going to put up a hell of a fight, but I don't know if she's going to win. I think Amanda Nunes is still going to win, and Randamie is going to kind of give her a little bit of a run for her money. But now, after careful consideration, I think you would be pleasantly surprised with my pick here. Nunes is faced here with Randamie, who already succumbed to a TKO loss against Nunes back in 2013. Now, she is on a 5-fight winning streak, but the truth is that Randamie hasn't really developed as a fighter since then, but she has at the same time. I know it doesn't make any sense. She's still an excellent kickboxer. When Randamie fought Nunes in the very beginning, it was strictly kickboxing that we got to see from her. Not strictly kickboxing, but mostly kickboxing that we got to see. And sharp striking. And I would give Randamie that she is solid in the clinch, but there was still something missing. And there's a ton of questions around her ground game. But now we've got a more trained mixed martial artist in Randamie. One that we didn't really get to see against Nunes 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So Nunes, who's on a 9-fight winning streak, her MMA record is 18-4-0. She last fought Holly Holm back in July of this year, and she won. She got her TKO win, or I think it was TKO. But that means that unless Nunes decides to get drawn into Randamie's game, a point fight kickboxing bout, then she's got far more ways to win. Now, I agree with this 100%. Nunes is a physical specimen at 135 pounds and will likely hold a huge strength advantage over Randamie. And Randamie alone is big for bantamweight. Like, in her own right, she is big for her weight class. Nunes throws heavy hands, though, and she is an incredible grappler. We could honestly argue that her cardio hasn't been the greatest if we're speaking in terms of her weaknesses. If you look at her fight against Kat Zingano, she suffered a TKO loss after gassing out. Same thing when she fought Shevchenko. Now with Shevchenko, she didn't lose by TKO, but she did struggle to keep some semblance of a pace against Shevchenko. So there are weaknesses that Randamie can capitalize on against Nunes that I don't really think people are looking at. People are so focused on Randamie lost against Nunes, and Randamie is a kickboxer, and Randamie's only good in the clinch. We've never seen her on the ground. She's not a mixed martial artist, but now we're seeing a completely evolved Randamie. And I really hope that people can keep that in their heads. Now, Randamie is on a 5-fight winning streak. Her record is 9-3-0, and her last fight was against Aspen Ladd. We got to see her knock out Aspen Ladd in her last fight back in July of this year. Now, luckily for Randamie in this fight, she isn't really known for pushing a fast pace. She tends to kind of lull her opponents into a really slow-paced fight, which is good for Randamie, but it's also good for Nunes. So she's got to be a little bit careful because Nunes, if she's in a slow pace, Nunes can go she can go the distance. If Randamie kind of pushes on and puts a little pressure on Nunes, then Nunes can gas out. That means that she hasn't really made for any exciting fights in the UFC, Randamie, but the girl is still good. Even if Nunes' cardio isn't on point, I think it's hard to see Randamie sort of forcing her to gas out because she is a little slower paced. On that same note, though, guys, Randamie is a different fighter since her first fight against Nunes. I hope you guys keep that in mind. Now, she's still got that great kickboxing, and I think we're going to see a little more well-rounded version of her. But bottom line for this fight, guys, I could honestly easily see Nunes coming out and sort of swarming Randamie for another early finish like she did the other time around, but I feel that would be risky for Nunes. If she gets too wild, she could easily get that heavy counter from Randamie, and Randamie does put people away. She knocks opponents out. We saw that when she fought Aspen Ladd. So with that in mind, I also don't believe Nunes is the type of fighter who likes to kind of go to the ground, but against Randamie, I suspect she will. I don't, however, believe that will be enough to stop Randamie, and I'm fairly certain that we may be looking at a pretty significant upset here. So I'm going to go Germaine Randamie for the win. Oh, it's such a risky pick, but I'm totally going Germaine Randamie. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Amanda Nunes or Germaine Randamie. MMA-Holes says, I just wrapped Jesse's Christmas present. Can cats breathe through? Stop it! Don't tease me. Why would you do that to me? I've been asking for a cat for the last year and a half. Don't do that to me. You're killing me. All right. Post says, you're crazy. I might be, but listen, if there's anyone who's going to pull an upset out of these 3 title fights, it's going to be Randamie. It's 100% going to be Randamie. King of the Dead says, Nunes, you know better, Justice. Eric Melton, Boss Kogar is laughing in the chat. Bo Archer says, Amanda wins by triangle choke. Stephen Perlowski says, wrong. Mark Rowe, I may pick Nunes against some men. Colvick says, I'll buy Savage dinner if Iron Face wins. Drunk Savage says, MMA-Holes, cats aren't safe around Kenshiro. I don't know. My girl goes Commando says, anything for us. Jumanji Warlord says, Amanda round 1. Oh, no. Shannon Source says, Nunes. Calculated Risk says, Usman, Colby, gonna be a hug fest? Is that what you said? A hug fest. All right. Let's move on to the next fight, guys. These fights are exciting. Make me so excited. Next fight of the main card, the co-main event. Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. I love this fight. Drop the ones in the chat if you're excited for Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. Please. Because I am. This whole card is great. I can sit here for hours and talk about it with you guys. Oh my God. Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski. For me, guys, this fight comes down to something pretty simple. Can Volkanovski get inside the range of Holloway and punish him with his heavy combinations? That is the number one question to ask. Now, despite giving up 5 inches in height, Volkanovski actually has a longer reach than Holloway. Volkanovski has a 71.5 inch reach. Holloway has a 69 inch reach. So you could argue that there's a little bit of an advantage here for Volkanovski, but there's not much of an argument there, and I'll tell you why. Holloway is coming off of a win, and then we know he did lose to Dustin Poirier before that. But he is coming off of a win. He's 21-4-0. He retains the title. His last fight was against Frankie Edgar back in July. Now, it's not like Holloway is only about using his reach. Holloway primarily uses his footwork, if you kind of go back and watch any of his fights, to open up on his opponents from angles that they may not expect. That's how Holloway wins. He comes out of nowhere and he just pummels his opponents. Look at the Brian Ortega fight. He even had to tell Brian Ortega to put his hands up in a certain position because Holloway knew 4 steps ahead exactly how he was going to take Ortega out. In fact, I feel he was kind of taunting Ortega a little bit in that fight. Something Volkanovski should be more worried about is the fact that Holloway has also got a tendency to know exactly when to turn up the heat on his opponent, as we saw when he predicted the 4th round stoppage of Brian Ortega. Now, I think he said he was going to finish in the 4th round, but he could have easily finished that in like the 1st or 2nd round. He knew immediately how or where Ortega's weaknesses were. Also, Holloway has a crazy strong chin. He's more willing to take a hard shot and has never been stopped by strikes, despite facing Poirier, who he ended up losing to before his most recent fight. Aldo, Conor McGregor. Overall, he's just a pretty tough opponent to beat. Now, I'm not going to shit on Volkanovski just yet. Volkanovski has 17 wins, a 17 fight winning streak. And his record is 21-0. His last fight was against Jose Aldo, and he did win again by unanimous decision. Now, to win this fight, I honestly believe or feel that Volkanovski needs to get into Holloway's face from the start. He needs to get into that range. Regardless of his reach advantage, I really don't believe that he can afford to fight from a distance against a man with the movement and the range work of Holloway. Now, I do think that Volkanovski stands a little bit of a chance. Also, if he gets inside the clinch, I think it's going to give him a little bit more potential here. But he's got a rather underrated wrestling game. And I feel that if he can get Holloway to the ground, then he's got a little bit more of an opportunity here. On that same note, it's difficult to imagine Holloway being forced into any situation for that whole fight, into any situation on the ground like that. And even if he could, we know that Holloway would be more than capable at grappling as well to take care of himself. So bottom line for this fight, guys, I think that if the same Holloway we saw against Edgar or Ortega shows up, and the cumulative damage hasn't started to wear on him, then I honestly see Volkanovski winning this fight. And I really expect to see him kind of beaten up by combinations until he wins or either wilts or loses to a decision as far as Volkanovski is concerned. So I'm going to go Holloway. I'm going to go Holloway by unanimous decision. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Alexander Volkanovski or Max Holloway. MMA-Holes says Max Holloway's son won't cry this Saturday. Steve Thompson says Volk would win in prison, but with judges around, I go Maximilian. Post Resurrected says, and still, sorry Australians. Roulette Master Max all day. The best is blessed. We got 50 likes. Do we have 50 likes?
I've got 50 likes.
You've got 50 likes.
We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes. I've got 50 likes.
You've got 50 likes.
We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes. I've got 50 likes.
You've got 50 likes.
We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes. The dislikes can choke on a dick.
Dislikes can choke on a dick. That's right. All right. I wish I had oh, I do.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington is the main event of the evening. The suspense is killing me. By the way, what do you guys think is going to happen to the winner of this fight? Are they going to fight Jorge Masvidal? Are we going to see a completely different fight kind of thrown at us out of nowhere? Let me know in the chat what you guys think is going to happen. But before we can get to what's going to happen, we have to consider who is going to win this fight. Bum, bum, bum. Now, I did see Colby Covington do an interview, the media scrum, and he claims that it's not a character. It's just him. And I couldn't disagree more. But that's aside the point. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. Both men have been excellent wrestlers. Usman was an NCAA Division II national champion at the University of Nebraska. Covington was an All-American at the Division I level and was a two-time Pac-10 conference champion. So we've got two pretty talented fighters going up against each other here. Usman is currently on a 16-fight winning streak. His record is 15-1-0, only took one loss. But he did win against Tyron Woodley, which was his last fight, where he did end up taking the and new, and he ended up taking the championship for the division. Now, both men fight in a similar fashion. Their whole game is built around pressure. It's built around grappling. It's built around wrestling. In terms of striking, though, I feel Usman is the one who appears to be a little bit more advanced. Usman uses an extremely long reach a 76-inch reach, I believe. And he hits his opponents with heavy punches. And I think anyone who's a Colby rider, it's fine. I mean, if you're a Colby fan, it is what it is. I don't judge. But I don't think you're thinking about the strengths that Usman has, the tricks that he has up his sleeve when it comes to that, when it comes to his striking, when it comes to his reach. Now, he does hit heavy punches from the outside, and in recent fights, most notably against Tyron Woodley and Rafael dos Anjos, he showed a developing jab and the ability to kind of string combinations together that you wouldn't normally expect. So Usman has never really been taken down in the UFC, even by Woodley, who's an excellent wrestler, and his strength is on a completely other level. Even for a wrestler as skilled as Colby Covington, I think it's hard to imagine Usman being put on his back. And I know it's hard for some people to wrap their heads around, especially if they're really riding hard with Colby Covington. But let me explain to you a little bit more. Covington's on a 7-fight winning streak. His record is 15-1-0, and his last fight was against Robbie Lawler. How many of you guys dropped the ones in the chat if you saw the Covington versus Robbie Lawler fight? It happened just this past August of this year, and he did win by unanimous decision, but there was a lot of controversy leading around that fight. Covington has shown a willingness to strike. He even stayed on his feet for most of the time during his fight against Robbie Lawler, which he did win. But he's more wild with his punches. There you go. See all the ones in the chat. A lot of people did see that fight. And I just saw Boss in the chat say Lawler took a dive. I know that was one of the biggest arguments, was that Lawler intentionally took the dive so that they could put this fight together. But regardless of our conspiracy theories, Lawler did lose. Covington did win. But if we're going to look at the striking involved, Covington is extremely wild with his punches. Usman, I would say, is a little bit more technical, a little more strategic. Covington doesn't have the greatest defense in comparison to Usman when it comes to striking. Now, I worry that against Usman, that wildness could well find him in trouble. Covington has never faced an opponent, honestly, who has been able to stop those takedowns, and that's meant that he's been able to throw his strikes with little return. As his opponents have been more concerned.
You're going to go to sleep. So now you need to back up and you can go to sleep too.
Drunk Savage!
Colby said that USADA has not been testing him or Usman for this fight. If that's true, I wonder why. Ali has too much power in UFC. Marty is on EPO. Colby will shock the world and make welterweight great again. Pick Colby JBH if you want to keep the belt.
Stop it, Drunk. Here's the thing. When it comes to the whole EPO thing, I find it difficult to kind of believe. I'm not going to stay on this topic for too long, but I find it a little difficult to buy into anything that's really said. Covington said that even Usman's teammates have told him that Usman was using EPO, which that couldn't be further from my belief. In no way, shape, or form do I believe that Usman's teammates would go to Covington specifically and be like, listen, Usman's using some EPOs. In no way do I believe. I think that's the most ridiculous. Like, Covington can say some very believable things, even with this little persona that he has going on. But if there's one thing that I couldn't believe more, it would be that one. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. USADA always tests the fighters. They always make sure the fighters are ready to go. I just can't get on board with it. If Covington can prove it, that's a whole other thing. But Covington can't prove it, and it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. So I don't know. I can't. I'm not gonna go further into that one. Anyways, Covington with his striking, I think that's going to be a little bit of a weakness for Covington. Usman, like I said, is a little bit more technical. He has the ability to kind of jump in there within range and land some really weird combinations that Covington might not expect. So bottom line for this fight, guys, add in the fact that Usman is likely to be able to match the pace of Covington, and he's never really gassed up to date, and I just can't see Covington really being able to have his usual success here. I don't think that he's as polished of a fighter as Usman, and assuming that Covington hasn't totally gotten into his head, then an angry Usman is going to be hard to stop. And I do believe that Usman is angry. I do believe that this fight is a little more personal now. I think it started off business, and then I think it went personal because Covington really got into Usman's head. And I believe that Usman is very quick to fall into that trolling and to fall into the bait that Covington laid. And I will give Covington all the credit there. He did a great job getting into Usman's head. And even if you think that Usman has a stronger mindset and that Covington didn't get in his head, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to everyone else, because it's very clear that there's something about Covington that bothers Usman. But Covington is still riding the wave. So I can't give him shit for that one. So this one I'm still going to have to go Usman as far as strategy, as far as fighting style, as far as weaknesses and strengths are concerned. I would go with Usman for the win here. I would even venture to say that maybe he even gets a submission in this round, but I'm not going to lock in the submission. I'm going to say he's going to win, but I won't lock in the submission. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington. Jonathan Wilberding says Usman wants to hug him to death. Nicholas Montemayor says still. Keithan Bailey says Colby about to put them 500 strikes on Marty. Colby 2 round 3. Lurkwork says so awesome. Haha. Special face is an actual jam. Pulse Resurrected says orange suit losses and orange man gets impeached. And he says Usman. Head Crazy Met says Usman. I used to be an orange man, says Steven Thompson. Kind Drunk says Usman. Justin Jr. says, you think someone gets finished? The fuck? We need to call in JBH MMA-Holes for life. Well, it's funny, Justin Jr., and you can thank the infamous King Mystic Moss for this one, because he said, hey, you know, this is a big fight card. If we have some people watching, maybe you should take some calls. And at first I was kind of against it, because I was like, that's not really what fight briefing is about. Fight briefing is about giving you your briefing, giving you your picks, your predictions, sign off. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know, he's right. There's a lot of value in what you guys have to say. And Justin Jr., it's funny you bring it up. I'd like everyone to lick Mystic Moss's ass right now, because he is the infamous king who came up with this. I think I am going to take some calls tonight. I think I am going to get your guys' opinion, because this is the last pay-per-view of 2019. We have 130 people watching, and I want nothing more than to hear what you guys have to say. So I'm going to open up the phone lines right now. Just give me a minute. I'll go back into the chat and see what you guys have to say while I open up the phone lines. All right. Moonchild says, oh, go fuck yourself, Jesse, dumb. Because he can't say it, apparently. Thanks, Moonchild. Appreciate it. Let's see. Let's go over here to settings and open this up for you guys. Open up some phone lines. Here we go. There we go. Look at that. Oh, look. Someone's already calling in. Here we go. 516. Unknown caller. You're live with the MMA-Holes. What's your name? What's on your mind?
This Pulse.
What's up, Pulse?
What's up now?
What's up?
You really picking the Randamie for the win? You've been dipping in that coffee.
Okay, so if you remember, I've been kind of like on board with Nunez over and over again, and it wasn't until yesterday that I made the Randamie pick, and I know it's a stretch. I'm well aware that I have a very good chance of losing, but she just has every opportunity to pull an upset here. You don't think so?
No.
Why not?
Not at all. I mean, like, if Randamie does this, like, she, like, would you consider her the best female fighter of all time if she pulls this off?
Well, considering that Nunez became the first women's double champ and knocked out a heavy hitter like Cyborg, if Randamie can beat Nunez, then yes, absolutely, I would consider Randamie pretty high up there as far as becoming the greatest of all time. Would you?
No, I would just call it credit to her if she pulls it off, but I would just call it a fluke win. I think if they fought 10 times,
a fluke,
Nunez would beat her.
Nunez
would beat her 9 times.
All right, now you just delved into a fluke win. So you're saying that there is a possibility Randamie wins, but if she wins, it would be a fluke.
It'll be more because of what Amanda didn't do. She, overextended, left herself open, and got caught. I think if they fight, I said, I think if they fight 10 times, Nunez beats her 9 times. She's proven she's that bad.
All right. Well, I disagree, but I value your opinion. Thank you, Pulse.
You're welcome.
Right. Oh, he didn't finish it this time. He thought I was gonna pull a Moss and hang up on him. I was gonna give him a chance to finish it. All right, here we go. 516-522-0267. Call in. Let me know who you think is gonna win any fight on the main card. Holloway versus Volkanovski, Nunez versus Randamie, Covington versus Usman, the most important one. Oh, here we go. Unknown caller, you're live with the MMA-Holes. What's your name? What's on your mind?
Yo, John Savage.
What's up, drunk?
Not much. So, what, you think GDR is going to pull that shit again when she hits her after the bell?
You're the second caller to ask me this question. Yes, I know it's a little bit of a reach, but I'm leaning in that direction. What do you think?
No, I think Nunes takes it. She's going to knock her out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think you're wrong.
Knocking out fucking everybody lately. And if she can fucking knock out Cyborg, I don't see why she couldn't fucking knock out GDR.
All right, let me ask you a question. Now, Randamie was a kickboxer when she first fought Nunez, and that explains the TKO because Nunez was much more well-rounded. But now that Nunez is fighting a more well-rounded Randamie, you don't think that puts Randamie at a little bit of an advantageous position?
No, I think Nunez has really improved since she first started.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on your mind?
Volkanovski's taking it. He's definitely beating Max. It's going to be an upset. Sorry,
What?
Moss.
All right. Now, I said this. I said if there was any upset that was going to happen within these 3 title fights, it would be Randamie. But you're saying Volkanovski is more willing to take the upset.
Yep.
Wow. I'd love to hear your opinion on this one.
Colby ain't going to be upset when he beats Marty.
So why do you think Volkanovski's going to take the win?
I just think he's got the skill set to do it. He's got good wrestling. You put him up against the fence, take him down, fucking do some ground pound like Khabib style if he wants.
Huh.
And it seems like when he takes big shots, he just gets mad and fucking comes back with force.
So you don't think that the emotion getting in the way of the fight might capital or jeopardize his ability to win?
No.
Wow. Interesting. All right, drunk. Thank you for letting me know. Do you have anything else on your mind about the fights?
Colby's winning. Come on, JBH. Last chance.
Get out of here. I'm going to hang up on you.
Don't be fooled by the black muscles.
Get out of here. All right. 516-522-0267. Get on the lines. Let me know who you think is going to win on any of the fights on the main card. Or if you want to talk about the prelims, you can. I know we got Mike Perry on the prelims. I see my mom in the chat, by the way. Hi, Mom. I love you. How are you? Life is great with you. You're the best. All right. 516-522-0267. Get on the lines. Let me know who you guys have. I'm not going to keep the phone lines going for too long. I'll just get a couple calls in, and then we'll wrap this up. I appreciate the people who have called so far to let me know who they think is winning. Hi, John Ref. Patrick says, at Steve Thompson, no. Roberto Hernandez says, black muscles, LOL. Perky Eisenfire says there's a difference between Colby and Usman. Colby beats you up to take you down. Usman takes you down to beat you up. Very good interpretation there. Here we go. We got another call coming in. 661, you're live with the MMA-Holes. What's your name and what's on your mind?
All right, I got Holloway against Volkanovski.
You got Holloway to win?
Yes.
All right. So why do you think Holloway's gonna win?
Why do I? Well, I think he's gonna use his distance, his length, to keep him away, and I think it's gonna be a split decision.
Now it's interesting you say that because I was just mentioning the reach difference here. Volkanovski has a longer reach. Volkanovski's at 71.5-inch reach, and Holloway only has a 69-inch reach.
Which is crazy, but I think Holloway's going to take the height. The height difference is going to make the difference, I think.
Very interesting. What else is on your mind?
That's it. Thank you.
That's it. All right. That was 661. He didn't give us his name. Call the show, 516-522-0267 if you want to get on the lines for the last couple minutes and talk about who's going to win. 714, you're live with the MMA-Holes. What's your name? What's on your mind?
What's up, JBH? It's Bo Archer.
What's up, Bo? Are you high tonight?
I am fucking hot as fuck. Morning to night.
Are you excited for UFC 245?
Man, I cannot wait.
Yeah.
Man, the co-main that's a hard one to call. Man, I think Volkanovski might get blessed this time. I don't know.
It makes me cringe. You guys are all saying this. It makes me cringe because I remember like a week ago I was saying Volkanovski all the way, and then everyone was like, no, Holloway. So I really did some research, and I was like, maybe they're right. Maybe Holloway will win. But now everyone's saying Volkanovski, and I'm like, what the fuck? I thought Volkanovski wasn't going to win.
I know. I feel the same way. It's a toss-up, man. But I could see Volkanovski getting. I could see it kind of playing out like Frankie Edgar versus Yair Rodriguez. If Volkanovski is able to, put it all together.
Okay.
But my lock for the night is Colby, man. Colby wins that fight for sure.
Oh, you're moving on to puke. All right. Why do you think Colby's going to win the fight?
Well, I think the wrestling cancels itself out. Usman, he might be able to take Colby down, but he's not going to be able to hold him down. There's no way. Colby's got the better gas tank, no doubt about that. And when it comes to striking, man, I feel like people are underestimating Colby's striking. He can put them up, man. Like he's going to. I think Usman's in for a rude awakening.
Now, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Usman has never been taken down in the UFC, even by the former champ Tyron Woodley. And you're telling me that Colby Covington is going to overpower Usman. How do you think he's going to do so if Usman has the strength to keep himself from getting taken down?
Well, I mean, Colby's a D1 All-American wrestler.
Oh, get out of here with that. Get out of here.
Well,
oh, my God.
I mean, in straight up wrestling, Colby destroys Usman. But I mean, as far as MMA goes, I think that it's just going to cancel itself out. It's not. There's absolutely no way that Usman takes Colby down and holds him down. There's no way.
Interesting. All right. Thank you, Bo. Appreciate your feedback.
Thank you, JBH. I appreciate it.
What? All right. So let me just make one thing clear before I open up the lines for anyone else. The whole Division 1 and Division 2 bullshit, it's so fucking dumb. It's probably the dumbest argument I have ever heard. Usman is he's carrying the belt right now. Now, Bo, I love you. I love when you call in. I think you're hilarious. But any day, if I ever hear that argument again, I'm going to shoot myself in the fucking head. They're both great. They're both great fucking wrestlers, regardless of the division they were in. Usman was a national champion. Colby Covington was an All-American champion. Like, they're both good. They're both freaking phenomenal wrestlers. Like, I can't get into that Division 1, Division 2 bullshit. Like, that's Colby Covington bullshit. That's the Colby Covington way of thinking. Covington thought that because he was Division 1 and Usman is Division 2 that somehow that, like, makes him Usman's holding the fucking title right now. How does that make him better? Oh, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I hate hearing that argument. That is the dumbest argument I've ever heard. All right. 516-522. I love you, Bo. I'm sorry. 516-522-0267. Call in. I'll take one more call or maybe two more calls. And then I'll shut this shit down. I know you got. Yeah, I hear it. You're saying D1 is better. Yeah, I get it. I hear what you're saying. I think it's fucking dumb. I'm not going to change my mind because you're telling me it's better. I could give a fuck. 732, you're live with the MMA-Holes. What's your name? What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hello? Who's this?
Alright, good thing. I'm on. I'm about to go to the bathroom.
What's up, Justin?
Alrighty.
Well,
my last video got 83 views.
Nice. So congratulations.
Saw my UFC 245 breakdown.
Yeah.
Listen, I've never gotten an MMA pick wrong. And I know that Colby Covington will destroy Kamaru Usman. So even though the D1, D2, it's kind of a stupid argument.
It is.
Because they're so close apart. But in general, D1 is a better wrestler than D2. And in striking, we already know that Covington is more decorated.
Yeah.
Kamaru, he generally just boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Colby, he does some flying knees in there, teeps, mixes it up, and the wrestling is so close but the striking, even though they're both a little sloppy, Colby is better in the striking.
Really? Now, Usman does seem to be more advanced in the striking.
What were you gonna say?
Usman is arguably more advanced in his striking. Colby is a little bit more wild. You wouldn't think so?
What do you mean?
Colby has much more wild striking in terms of his pacing, and when he goes out there, he has a willingness to strike, but he does stay on his feet, but he's more wild with his punches. He doesn't have the greatest defense in comparison to Usman, and that's something that Usman really capitalizes on. Or Usman seems to be a little bit more advanced in his striking.
They're both sloppy, and I mean, for the co-main event, and I know that you've only been watching MMA for 2 years, JBH, so you don't know it all, but
well,
I've been
in
watching
fairness,
MMA for 30 years now. So,
yeah, 12-year-old has been
like
watching.
1 or 2 picks wrong out of like 18 wins, 18-2.
Yeah,
was my bet pick. So I think that if you look at Alex Volkanovski, Max Holloway has a great takedown defense.
Yeah.
There's no question Max Holloway is the better striker.
Mm-hmm.
And Max Holloway can defend takedowns well. I don't think it's going to be a stoppage. Unanimous decision for Max Holloway.
All right. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it. Do you have a pick for Germaine Randamie versus Amanda Nunez?
Oh, yeah. So, Amanda Nunez, she was only a grappler back then. I've only been watching MMA for 3 years, so I didn't really get to see.
So
that
1 year
fight,
longer than me.
A week ago I saw it, and they both evolved. But the thing is, Amanda is more, she knows how to strike now, and her grappling, of course, it's only gone better. And I saw you and heard you say gas tank. This ain't going past 2 rounds, okay?
Yeah.
And I know JDR has evolved, but
GDR, yeah.
Man, Amanda is a striker now too, and she can grapple. We already know Amanda's grappling's better. And the striking, I mean, you could make a case of argument, but Holly Holm, did you know Holly Holm was a champion in boxing?
Yes, I did.
And look what happened to her when she faced Amanda.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you think about Max Holloway versus Volkanovski?
I said that already, that Volkanovski, he's a wrestler, and Max Holloway has high takedown defense, and the striking's better, no doubt. Unanimous 5-rounder for Max.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Justin.
And the Jose Aldo fight, if Jose Aldo makes weight, I think that he loses. Like you said, and this is one of the very few things that I'll agree with you, is Marlon, is kind of like a younger version of Aldo.
You know what? While you're at it, Justin, why don't you tell me who wins Uriah Faber versus Petr Yan?
Petr Yan.
Why is that?
I don't really watch those two fight, but
you've been watching for 3 years, Justin.
Be put on the line, 18 wins, 2 losses. But I just think Jan's, he's younger. He's been on the run. I haven't seen a lot of his fights, but yeah,
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Justin. I appreciate your call.
Let me plug my.
All right. I can't hang up on the kid. He's 12 years old, and I always feel horrible when he calls in, and it makes me feel like a horrible person. So I just have to let him go. And he's cute. He's a cute kid. So I can't. I can't. And he has valuable. I mean, if you really think about it, he does have valuable calls. So I can't do it. I just can't do. I can't do it. But I won't end the show with him. 516-522-0267. I'll take a couple more calls. Thank you, Justin, for calling in and letting us know who your picks are. Yeah. Maybe when his voice deepens, then I won't find him as adorable anymore, and I'll be able to hang up on him faster. Yeah, he did call me a casual. He called me a casual. He said, you've only been watching for 2 years. Yeah, no, he definitely called me a casual. All right. Lurkwork says that cutie patootie can really talk his ass off. JBH hangs up and says I can't hang up on him. No, I hung up after he gave me his picks. I had to make sure. Yeah, thanks, Justin, for calling. Jesus Christ. All right. Hey, this is from where I'm from. 309, you're live with the MMA-Holes. What's your name? What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hello? What's up?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me? I'm having a phone problem.
No worries. What's your name?
Nigger.
Nice. Very original. All right. 516-522-0267. Let me know who you guys have as picks. This will be my last call, and then I'll wrap it up. UFC 245. Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington. He's back, yeah. Well, you know what's funny is I recognized the zip code immediately. It's the same zip code as where I used to live. One more. 718, you're live with the MMA-Holes. What is your name and what is on your mind?
Oh, man. You're a casual. Hey, guys. It's me, Justin, again. How's it going? I'm out of breath. It's tough for me to get to the phone.
Yeah. Who did you have for the picks tonight?
Well, hold on. I'm trapped into the bathroom. Hopefully Mom can hear me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, are you in the bathroom now?
I'm so tired. I don't know why I'm so out of breath. This is ridiculous.
Can we get to the fights? You wanna talk about the fights? Who do you have for?
Yeah.
Yeah. Covington versus Usman.
Just give me a second. I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
I can't breathe. I'm so nervous.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna hang up. If you don't give me some picks.
I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
I've been watching since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
That was last year.
Okay, all right, goodbye. All right, guys, I'm gonna call it quits now. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow for Fuka Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys tune in when playing the points game. Let me know in the comment section after the stream is over who you guys have, in as your picks for the fights this weekend. And we'll be live for tomorrow, 10 p.m. and live for the fights on Saturday. And as always, you guys know, don't be an a-hole, be an MMA hole.